Don't be shy, 'cause life won't bring you down too far.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. You look really different.
I've had a shave.
Is that
terrible, isn't it? Do you know, I said to someone this morning, I said, you only really find out how ugly you are when you have a shave. It's true, isn't it? It's very similar with you, really.
Why?
Well, because you can't, you're sort of hiding the fact that you're a little bit porky. You know, you're not the best looking fella when you've got the stubble on. But obviously when this comes off, don't know, turn that thing to me a minute. No, actually, still handsome. Still handsome. How was your holiday, mate?
It's good.
Looking well?
Never been to Turkey.
No, nor have I. Nice?
Yes.
Everyone's going there as well, aren't they?
Because it's like quarantine.
It's the one.
It's the one.
But what are they going to put on the list this week? Apparently, talking about Portugal going back on the list. Problem with the flight coming in from Greece, did you read? Yes. 8 people were, you know. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's been a week and 2 days.
Since fight camp. Wow,
Since
is it?
the fight camp ended.
I haven't watched your interview with Whyte yet, because I only saw it late last night, but it's got very good reviews. So congratulations.
This is what I do, mate.
You're quite funny, aren't you? Because you're such a fake, where you're like, oh, I didn't want to get an interview after because you mean so much to me, Dillian, and because our relationship spans over so many years. You twat.
It's true though.
Is it?
Of course.
Would you say that you and Dillian is the closest relationship you've got out of any fighter?
One of them. Yeah, definitely within the top 2 or 3.
Who else is up there?
Dave.
Alan.
Yeah. Bill. The Joe. You.
Oh.
But it's not, is it?
The difference is I don't.
Difference
I
is,
just
mate.
I know
Mate,
you. No, but the difference is I just don't fall for the bullshit. You know.
What are you on about?
If you started going to me, Ed, the thing is, I mean, can you imagine? Like, AJ lost, got knocked out in New York. Where was the IFL camera? Bosh.
No, that's absolute bollocks. I waited. He did the press conference.
When have you ever gone to me?
Hold on.
Ever, mate? Can I just check you're emotionally okay to do this interview?
Mate,
seriously though. Ed, I'm a bit concerned about you emotionally and mentally. Am I alright to do this interview?
Mate.
You're like, to be honest with you, I could like contract some
career
ending. Listen, I could contract some life-ending disease, yeah, and just let you know, and you go, oh mate, I'm so disappointed with you. But do you mind if we just get 5 minutes?
That's alright. With certain fighters in certain situations. Why? You?
I've got a heart.
Mate.
I've got feelings.
Yeah, I know you have.
You know,
you're already plotting your next move, mate.
With you. You just presume I'm a cold-blooded
you already
entrepreneur.
signed the rematch.
I'm not. I'm a man of the people with a heart.
But yeah, it's like me going up to Dillian going, you alright, mate? He went, yeah, and then going, oh, by the way, could we do an interview? Can you see how inappropriate that would be?
Alright, just remember I have feelings too.
Alright, next time that you suffer a night, it's just like you losing, isn't it, really? Just like the fight.
Of course it is.
No, it ain't, mate.
You lose, we lose, I lose.
Mate, you walk in with the champ, you walk out with the champ.
I'm Don King, son.
I'm only joking. Yeah, so a little reflection over the last week.
Just had a couple of days with the family. I think, not even in boxing, but in life, the success of something doesn't last, not even forever, more than about 48 hours. Do you know what I mean? So, fight camp on Sunday, you don't really sleep much. On a serious note, you do feel a little bit down and deflated because it's all over and you've had those highs, and obviously Dillian lost as well. And then you're sort of gloating about it on Sunday, Monday. Everyone's telling you you're the absolute dog's bollocks. And then by about Monday at 4 PM, everyone's forgot you even done fight camp. So it's like, well, what's next? Hurry up, when's your next day? So that's now what we've been working towards at the end of last week. There are so many problems to overcome during this period where the world is like this. And it's just, I keep saying always about short-term goals and just dealing with immediate problems before you get to the bigger picture, and that's day by day trying to clear not just problems but obligations and deliver opportunities for fighters, and that's the biggest challenge right now, and that's what we're doing. Just come from a meeting now with Frank and Ross going through the dates, the shows, the fights, the obligations, and totally forgot we even had an interview before. So yeah, Fight Camp couldn't have been better. I mean, it was for me the best project to come out of sport since the lockdown, you know, and I'm really, really proud of it, but it's done, it's finished. So on we go. And I'd love to sit here for another month and go on holiday and say, oh mate, we were the bollocks with Fight Camp, no one's done anything like that. But ultimately, now we've got to say what's next. And now we move into the next phase, which is bringing people back into the arenas. And that will be the focus of our next show in September.
Let's just kind of sort of finish off on Dylan Whyte, but rematch wise, as far as you're concerned, Team Povetkin all on board.
Yep. I mean, the good thing about some people are honourable with their word and with contracts, because there is a contract in place, and some people aren't. Okay, and that goes for all walks of life. And there's not many in boxing that honour contracts and honour obligations and their word. Andrei Rybinski, Vadim Kornilov and World of Boxing are, even if I didn't have a contract with them for the rematch and we just had a shake of the hand or an agreement, they would still do it. These are proper people, mate. And to lose face and credibility in their neck of the woods don't exist. So they are 1,000,000% on board with a rematch. They know what they've signed. They're happy with the. I mean, they're making great money for the rematch, and they think they're going to win. They just knocked the guy out, you know. So they've also agreed that we should do it sooner rather than later, because obviously AJ goes in December, Fury probably goes in December. They don't want to wait till February, March. So we will go November 14th or November 21. And we will announce, I think this year, it's 12 weeks. So I know it's not that, you know, but the heavyweights, they're not making weight. They can have 3 or 4 weeks off still and then go into camp. I know he is, but he still needs a break.
Yeah.
You know, he's now had a week off. He needs another 2 or 3 weeks of break. He can still tick over, and he will. But he's also obsessed right now with winning this rematch. So he don't want to rest. He wants to get back in the gym. But he's had a long camp. You know, he didn't take any... You know, I say he didn't take punishment in the fight. We know it was a bad knockout, but it was one shot. So he's fine, but he still needs that time to rest, 4 weeks or so of total rest, back into camp. And some may say it's too soon for him to rematch, but then if he doesn't rematch in November, he'll be waiting until February or March, and that might be too long, if you know what I mean. So we're ready. We're ready to do that fight, and that fight is happening.
In the UK?
In the UK.
Definitely.
Yep.
What's the talk of Russia? Does that come out of nowhere?
No, I think Rybinski said we would like to do it in Russia, obviously, you know. But we will stage the fight and we will do the rematch November 14th or 21 in London.
Where? O2?
O2 or somewhere else we're working on as well at the moment. So again, this new phase of bringing in fans, our September show, which we'll announce this week. We've applied for that show to be a test event to bring fans back to the arenas with the government. You know, it's going to be strict guidelines to start with, but then as we go into October, as we go into November, as we go into December, we have to keep pushing the boundaries safely to ensure that we can bring fans back into the arenas and try and drive some additional revenue to the show to make some of these fights, so we don't have to keep trying to look at costs and cut costs and fighter purses, etc., etc. So that's really important, and you know, subject to another spike or subject to something going badly wrong, Whyte Povetkin 2 will be in front of fans. Now, how many fans? Might be 1,500, might be 5,000, might be 10,000. But we know it's going to be a limited number, but hopefully things continue to improve and we can bring fans back in for Whyte Povetkin.
Where's the other venue?
I'm not going to say this time. It's in London.
Okay. Fair enough. Is it all crowd dependent on where you go, or just...
The size of the venue will increase the allowed capacity. So if you go to the O2, you'll be allowed around 4,000 people. Under current government guidelines, this isn't approved by the government. This is what the arenas have put together to say that we believe this seating plan and these procedures that we've implemented here, the government will allow them because it puts together social distancing and they'll be happy with that number. If you go somewhere with 5,000, you might only be allowed 1,000. So I think it will be more dependent on the percentage of the capacity rather than a certain number that could be in any arena, which makes sense, you know. It's a bit like with the football, isn't it? What are they talking about? 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people in a 40,000 stadium. You know, but there's going to be different rules and different guidelines for outdoor events than there will be for indoor events. Unfortunately, we're about to hit the winter, so we kind of missed the boat on outdoor events.
Is the limit on the number of fights per show increased now?
No, it's still 7,
okay,
but that's being reviewed by the British Boxing Board of Control. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, but again, when you're cutting costs to try and find a way to pay these fighters the money they want for the fights, you really want to shorten the card. Don't forget, normally, like for example, for the Dillian Whyte card, we had 5 fights, which was the perfect number of fights within the broadcast schedule. So normally we'll run from 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock, maybe streamed fights that not many people are watching. So there's an easier way to cut your costs if you've got no crowd by just doing fewer fights. Yeah. But for our September show and for our October show, we will have to do 7 fights because we have too many fighters to get out. And we've got to make sure these guys get out and get active.
So questions about your September show. Originally you did talk about possibly doing it, which would have been next Saturday really on the 12th.
Yeah, no.
So that didn't happen. So we're assuming it's going to be the 26th.
Yes, it'll be that weekend.
That weekend?
Yes.
Not necessarily on the 26th?
Not necessarily. We were going to go on the 26th. Obviously Josh Taylor's going on that card. I don't think, if we can avoid a clash, great.
That would be great.
But if we have to clash, we clash. But we've got a couple of interesting ideas around that weekend. So I just want to do. I think now's the time to try things that I've thought about for a long time. You know, that was one of them at Fight Camp. Another one is different timings for fights and events, days, hours. Just I don't think we should limit ourselves to we are Saturday night from 7 till 11. Do you know what I mean? Ultimately, now the scheduling of live sports has changed. The availability of live sports content has changed. And sometimes we have to be smarter with what we're doing. So I've got a few funky ideas for that show in September. But that will be announced this week. And Joshua Boyatsi will be headlining that show.
Venue?
Again, that's basically what I just said if you listen.
I know, but where's it going to be? London, obviously.
It'll be in London, yeah. We'll be in London.
Okay. Now, how would it work in regards of quarantining the fighters? Because obviously you've just done all this with Fight Camp. But has the rules now changed as in terms of testing and
testing? No, at the moment, but
testing as in no, it hasn't changed.
No, not at the moment. But I think moving forward, the board's guidelines will have fewer people tested. I think you'll have the fighters, the corner teams, and the officials. And because for the Fight Camp, I wasn't, like inside the barriers. I didn't actually go inside the barriers. I was tested a couple of times a week on occasions. But a lot of people that were tested, you included, you didn't go into the barriers, you didn't mix with the fighters. So do you have to test all these, probably another 30 people that we were testing on top? So that's something the board will look at. In terms of quarantine for fighters coming over, everything will be on a exemption basis from the government. So if you want to bring a fighter over from, say, France, where there's a 14-day quarantine, you will have to individually apply for that event or that fight, particularly, to receive a 7-day quarantine, as long as that fight is tested under the following guidelines. So we're nowhere near out of the woods yet in terms of it moving back to normal for quarantine, for testing. But we hope that maybe fewer people will be tested. We hope that maybe the government will help with not just bringing crowds back, but allowing us to bring over international fighters for a short period of time. They allowed that for Fight Camp. The only international fighters we had were for the pay-per-view card. But Alexander Povetkin, Sean Dale Winters, Dillian Whyte, who was trained in Portugal, Katie Taylor, all had an exemption, and Delphine Passoon, all had an exemption to come, on a shorter period of quarantine. providing they were tested before they come, and also when they got here as well.
Will there be a bubble situation that week?
I want there to be a bubble situation. So the one of the biggest successes of Fight Camp was the bubble. Was Bubble Trouble. It was a major success.
Obviously, numbers. But record-breaking numbers on IFL,
was
by
it?
the way.
How many did you get?
70 okay.
Yeah, nice. So I think that experience of bringing the fighters together, I want to do that again, to be honest with you. And I think that, I'm not saying everyone will stay in their room for 24, like moving forward, but I do think we should create that environment on every fight week where we bring in some more media. You know, everyone's got total access to the fighters. We can tell more stories during the event. We can do some more crazy stuff. We can just build the content and drive the digital programming, shoulder programming to create interest in the event. So I want to create that environment, whether we have to or not. But probably this time the quarantine may be different. And, you know, it was very, very strict, as you know. You know, I know that some promoters take it super seriously, some don't. Ours, you got a bloke on your door, but you can't leave. You know how it was. So, you know, we still want to take it seriously, but we'll do whatever we're asked to do from the British Boxing Board of Control and the government.
Who else may feature on the card?
On that card?
Yes.
Chantel Cameron.
Yeah.
Craig Richards. Fiaz against Baker.
Oh,
probably.
Okay, that's on.
Do that fight that was rescheduled. Going to do a little English middleweight title fight. Linus Adolphia against John Harding Jr.
Yes.
Thomas Hart. Craig Richards, if I said that already.
Billy's fighter, Thomas Hart.
Thomas Hart. And then we've got a couple of other kids debuting. We've got a lovely signing coming up this week, new signing. We've got John Hedges Jr., who is due to make his debut. We've got Ellie Scottney awaiting her debut. She's just coming back for an injury, so she may box in October. So it'll be about 7 fights.
Is there any heavyweight fights on that card?
Potentially Alan Babbage.
Okay. What's the crack with him? He's like blown up since.
Massive, yeah. I mean, the digital numbers are great. I just think with Babbage, I mean, that was a nice win for him against Sean Del Winters, but, you know, he's very raw and he's only had 4 fights. So I do think, not slow down with him, but let's just realise what he is, which is a very dangerous, very raw, very exciting heavyweight. So, you know, I like moving him into the Tom Little fight. Tom Little's not going to be ready for September, but can do that fight for October. You know, Nick Webb, these kind of fights. I think they're going to be exciting. I still think he needs 4 or 5 fights before we can start talking about the big names. But
he wants Hrgovic.
He wants Hrgovic. Listen, that's a massive fight, all Croatian heavyweight fight. But Hrgovic, right now, is a world-class heavyweight. Easy top 10 heavyweight in the world. And Babbage is not. He's a raw novice. But he's very exciting. I think he's dangerous. I think he's tough as old boobs. And he might be really good.
What about Dave Allen?
I'd like to make Dave Allen against Hughie Fury. That's the fight that I want to make, and that could land on the Povetkin Whyte undercard. I think it's the right fight for both guys.
Dillian was saying he wants Fabio Wardley to fight
Nick Webb.
Yeah, for the British.
Yeah, we've offered it to Nick Webb, but you know, purses need to be coming down, not doubling from what they should be. So that's unlikely. But Fabio needs a good fight next. So we're looking, you know, and Cash Ali, any of those guys, I think it's a good fight for Fabio.
There were whispers that Usyk Chisora could have wound it up in September. Was that ever talked about?
A little bit, yeah. But the date for Usyk Chisora is October 31st. But we have a major problem where that fight was built around a sold-out O2 Arena. And now, if you don't sell out the O2 Arena, it's a couple of £1 million hole in the money. Same problem they've got with Joyce Dubois. You know, I'm not saying, you know, I think Joyce Dubois would have done 10,000 tickets. But at the moment, the best they could get is 4,000. That's the best case scenario at this point for October. So the fighters have got to take less money, or you have to wait. So that's what we're discussing with Usyk at the moment. That's what we've discussed with David Hay, to say, do you want to wait till it comes back to normal, or do you want to take a little bit more risk with us on the pay-per-view, on the numbers, and do you want to go in on October 31st?
And when do you hope to have that?
This week. I think we'll decide this week if we're going to go October 31st.
Okay. So, read some comments about Usyk's team saying that they will not. They want to basically fight their mandatory as soon as they won't step aside for
they're going to
Fury
say
and
that,
Joshua.
you know, they're going to say that, and that's the truth. They want to fight for the world heavyweight title. You know, we have another issue with Pulev where he's mandatory. You know, and we don't have a crowd for that fight. So the original offer that we made him is now invalid because we're out of time and the world has changed. So we've got to negotiate the right price. So I think that the undisputed fight, I said it before and I'll say it again, we want this fight to be undisputed. We really do. But there is a very good chance that it might not be. Because even if something happened and we didn't fight Pulev, we'd have to vacate the IBF title. If we don't fight Usyk, we'll probably have to vacate the WBO title. So number one priority is to try and find a way that we can keep all the belts. But if it's going to affect AJ in any way, there's a very good chance he may vacate all the belts, maybe except for one or two, and just go into the fight. I mean, what they say about, don't matter how many belts on the line, is true in a sense of, to the bigger picture, for the casual fans, they don't really care how many belts are on the line. It's just to find out who is the best, isn't it? I don't think there's one person in the world that doesn't agree that the winner of Fury and AJ is the best heavyweight on the planet.
Correct.
Right? But it's always been our goal to be undisputed. So if we can find a way to do it, we will do it. But if we can't, we will drop belts to do it.
See comments from Fury and Frank Warren over the weekend about maybe even doubts that you and AJ want to do this fight.
Well, I'm not going to get in. I mean, it was nice. I saw some of the interviews. I saw when Frank called Daniel Anthony. That was my favourite bit. And that can happen, by the way. I think he got a lot of stick for that, but I do feel for him there because sometimes you've got a lot to remember. But on the Fury stuff, I think most of what they said, you know, other than we don't want the fight. I mean, I'm the only one that has put this in writing that the deal is agreed. So I have actually written to their team to say, just want to let you know, we agree to the following deal, which has been agreed. I didn't actually get a reply, but I believe them because I do know they won the fight. So we're ready. We're ready to do that fight. I saw the comments about December. It's all very well saying, well, if that don't happen in December, I'll fight you now. We will fight you in December. If the world is ready for that fight and, you know, these offers that are coming in are legit for that period in December, then we don't have a problem going into that fight. But he's under contract for another fight. So
both are?
No, we're not under contract yet, but we have to agree terms with Pulev now for this next fight, which we probably will.
Yeah.
But we're probably a lot freer than he is to take that fight in December. And you know, whether that's to goad us or whether that's a challenge, we accept that challenge to fight in December if you don't have to fight Deontay Wilder. But you do have to fight Deontay Wilder, and I don't believe Deontay Wilder will lose. I mean, if Deontay Wilder doesn't take that rematch, he should retire from boxing. What's the point? You've been the world heavyweight champion, you've lost, and now your bum's gone. You've bottled the rematch. So. And he won't. He's got more about him than that. But he's worryingly quiet, isn't he? You know? So we don't have a problem going into the fight now. I just don't believe, one, the world is geared up for that fight. Yeah. And two, I don't believe that he can get out of the contract he's in. In terms of AJ wanting the Fury fight, come on. I mean, like, on one hand, I'm a money-grabbing motherfucker. And on the other hand, I don't want the fight that's going to make me more money than any other fight in the world. So get it right. And it ain't about milking AJ or cash cow. It's all a load of bollocks. We've got two fights that we've already written to them and agreed. But also, I'm just a bit confused because I'm being told that the only person I should negotiate that fight with is Bob Arum. But then on the other hand, they're going, yeah, come and sit down with us and, you know. So I spoke to Bob Arum on Friday, and I've got another call with Bob Arum today, and we will try. I will say to him, if you want to do that fight in December, and we can speak to the relevant parties in terms of where this fight can be staged, we don't have a problem with that. But we'll sign for it in December if you want. we'll sign for it in April or May, but we will sign for that fight now if you don't believe us. So
you would generally consider, just if that Wilder fight wasn't an obstacle,
in December,
you could deal with the Pulev side of it and do it in December.
Yeah, but we would have to drop the IBF belt. We don't really want to do that, but I promise you when I say, if AJ feels he's being fucked around by governing bodies or by fighters themselves holding him to ransom, that belt will go. But we don't really want to do that. We want to have an undisputed fight. So by doing that, we fight Pulev, he fights Wilder, then we have to deal with the Usyk situation. If we have to drop the WBO belt, you know, then we worry about that then. But AJ don't have a problem with going in that fight next. But he understands that his obligation is to fight Pulev. If he doesn't want to do it, then he loses his belt, but okay. And Fury's obligation, contractually, is to fight Deontay Wilder. And I don't believe that Wilder's going to let that fight go. If he lets that fight go, he'll never get another shot at the world title until he's mandatory.
AJ Pulev, though, penciled in for December 12th at the O2?
December 12th is the working date for that fight at the O2 Arena. So, all being well, if Team Pulev are reasonable and Bob's reasonable and we can work it out, that will be AJ's next fight. And it's not, you know, again, some of the conversations I've had in the last couple of days are, if you can get out of this Deontay Wilder contract and do this fight in December, you need to let us know soonish, because we're ready to plan our next fight, which is, at the moment, in an ideal world, December 12th, O2, Kubrat Pulev.
Okay, I know we're a little bit pushed for time.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes.
Okay, Kell Brook and Terence Crawford, update?
I think we're a little bit out on the money. I've been across it with Bob. Kell's dad and those people have been in on it as well. Spoke to Bob. They went to America for the Terence Crawford fight last time. For me, it's not enough money at the moment. You know, I don't think the offer's unreasonable, but it, you know, for Kell, it's you know, Kell Brook can fight later this year for great money, but he wants to challenge himself. He wants the big fights, but to do that, you know, I believe he needs to be rewarded for that, because it could be his last fight. So I think there's a decent chance it can get made.
Okay. Billy Joe, Callum Smith.
Again, waiting on Golden Boy. I've said to MTK, I've said to Callum Smith's representative that I think we give it till the end of this week, and if not, we have to plan the next fights, and they should fight each other. You know, if we don't make
this year,
yes, if we don't make Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo or Callum Smith against Canelo, those two should fight.
Yes,
it's an obvious unification fight, and it's a really, really good fight. Again, we wish we could have it in front of a sold-out O2 or Manchester Arena or Echo Arena or outdoors, but
I think I'd rather the second option.
Which one?
I'd rather them fight each other, I think.
I know, but that's actually now what people are starting to say, you know. So, but look, the Canelo Alvarez fight is obviously the biggest fight
we
in the world.
understand
So,
that part of it, but it's
I think we give it till the end of this week, and that was my conversation with them today. Was Friday? Let's make a decision on what we're going to do.
Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia, update?
Just finalised the contract on that.
Date?
Talking about end of November, December in America, obviously. It's a Golden Boy show.
Yeah.
So we'll wait on the date from them. And great fight.
So you could have, effectively, you're looking to put on 3 pay-per-views between now
October, November, December. But more likely 2. But if we nail Usyk, Chisora, Whyte, Povetkin and AJ, there will be 3.
Why likely 2 then?
Because at the moment, Usyk, Chisora, there's a lot of work to do to get that into a position to move forward.
What, is there a danger of that fight not happening then, would you say?
No, but there's a danger of that fight not happening on October 31st.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it happens later on in the year, it's still going to have 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah, but again, I mean, might be delayed until January.
Right.
That's the fight. You know, AJ appreciates no crowd, potentially, or small crowd, is going to be making a lot less money. He accepts that. That fight, Usyk Chisora, like I said, there's a couple of £1 million hole in that fight with no gate. So, with all due respect to Usyk and Chisora, I don't mind footing some of that bill, but not all of it. So, that's the ongoing discussions.
Some of these rematches that need to take place as a result of fight camp, Jonas Harper, Bull,
I'll take you through them. Terry Harper's been ordered to fight Catherine Thanders, the interim world champion, mandatory. with Nissi Sowland and Sowland Brothers.
Yeah.
That fight will happen next for Terry Harper.
Okay.
I'm going to give Natasha Jonas a fight. I'd like her to fight Heather Hardy. I think it's a really good, really good fight for her.
Fight.
And then those two will fight each other in February or March, and that will be in an arena in front of a big crowd.
Yeah.
Right. Rachel Ball against Shannon Courtenay. I'd quite like to try and give Rachel Ball a world title opportunity. Give Shannon Courtenay another fight. If Rachel Ball can win that, you could end up doing Shannon Courtenay, Rachel Ball for the world title, or we just do the rematch immediately, which is another option.
On what card?
Probably on the Whyte Povetkin card, or the AJ card. The Eggington against Cheeseman card. Sam Eggington, of course, we know is right up for that fight. I had a meeting with Tony Sims last week, who says, in an ideal world, we'd like to go on and work up the world rankings, but we appreciate everyone wants to see the rematch. If that's the fight the fans want to see, we're on board for that. So you're going to see Eggington Cheeseman rematch probably this year as well. That could be on the AJ card. We've got September, October, November, December, Saturday night fight nights. Yeah. And then possibly October 31st, November the 14th or 21st, and December the 12th as pay-per-views.
So you've got 6 shows between now and the end of the year?
September, October, November, December. 7 potentially. Probably plus a next gen. Plus 4 in America, 2 in Italy, and 1 in Spain. And 1 in New Zealand. We were working on Parker and Fart, which would be a great fight.
What about the rematch with Zach Chilly and...
Not scheduled at the moment. I'd like to try and find a space for it. But those two... there's other fights out there for those two as well. I felt Zach Chilly won the fight. Close fight. But Cullen, we'd love to have back against another fighter. And Chilly the same. If it's against each other, so be it.
Pay-per-view numbers from the other night?
Really, really good. Really good. I mean, to give you a good idea, I think 300 is a safe thing to say. We don't report numbers.
Above 300?
Around 300. Okay. If it's 5% less either way, is a good, is the spring. So, which is about 30% up on Whyte Rivas, which is fantastic. Fantastic, because it was we don't know how the world's going to react to this. But what we do know is people want to watch great cards. Dillian Whyte, someone said to me, when are you going to realise Dillian Whyte is not a pay-per-view fighter? What constitutes a pay-per-view fighter in your eyes? For me, it's someone that does good numbers on pay-per-view. And he has done Chisora 2, Joseph Parker, Chisora 2, Rivas and Povetkin. Right? And the lowest of those was Rivas at 230. Right? Parker done well over 300,000 buys. Chisora done well over 300,000 buys, and Povetkin done around 300,000 buys. If that's not a pay-per-view fighter, I don't know what is. But he does need to win his next fight. He can't lose to Alexander Povetkin and still be a pay-per-view fighter.
What was your expense bill?
A lot.
Go on.
I mean, talk about expense bill. You saw the numbers of £5 million, but that was on for all the purses and everything.
Yeah.
About £1 million.
£1 million?
Yeah.
Like in cold money.
Well, no, we got out of jail because of the pay-per-view numbers. If we would have done 200,000 buys or 150,000 buys, it would have been a different story. But listen, we lost money, but we weren't far from, wiping our face clean, which was a right touch for a project like that. So it was a big gamble.
Conor Ben,
we want to make the Chris Jenkins fight. We keep talking about Matchroom Queensbury, but they never let Chris Jenkins take that fight, which he wants to take, and he's happy with the purse. So we'll probably go back and make another offer. Purse bids aren't going to be till October for a lot of these fights. So, but if we can't make that fight quickly, we'll get Conor Ben out himself in October.
John Ryder?
John Ryder could be a final eliminator against Chudinov or Lemieux.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Callum Johnson? What's that? Just Callum Johnson, just repeat that on...
Yeah, Callum Johnson's going to fight Igor McAlkin for the European title, and that'll be probably November. And then I'd like the winner of that fight to fight Boazzi next. John Ryder, I don't know if that cut off before that. He's going to fight Chudinov or Lemieux probably for final eliminator for WBO. Coley's fighting Glowacki.
On what bill is that like?
That'll be on the AJ card for the WBO world title.
Okay. Alright, anything else you want to add before we finish?
All good. There'll be a load of announcements at the end of this week. Hopefully we can announce our September card, our next US card, our October UK card, and our Italy card. So hopefully 4.
What places are you going to in America quickly?
We may go to Mexico.
Okay.
For our next card. No, probably just be outdoors somewhere close to the Azteca headquarters. And yeah, so we've got September, October, November, probably December in America. And hopefully we can announce, it might be end of September or first week of October. Hopefully we can announce that, our September show in the UK, our October show in the UK, and our Italian show this week. So our next 4 shows.
Any word on UK design?
No. I mean, the global service will launch at some point this year. Obviously, they've been testing it recently, so I think everything's not on the back burner for not even talking about for DAZN, but obviously we're moving at a slow pace as we transition back to normality, but we're still a long way from normality.
Okay, but apart from that, are you alright, mate?
I'm okay. Nice of you to ask me after the interview.
Why?
Well, because, you should have asked me if I was okay before you gave me the interview. Yes, I'm fucking unbelievable, to be honest with you. Feeling good. Yeah, I'm excited about dealing with aggravation and dealing with the problems and overcoming the barriers, because that's what we do here at Match.
Okay. How many t-shirts have you sold?
About 1,500.
1,500?
Yeah.
Mental.
I'm going to bring out jackets, hoodies and hats.
What kind of jackets? Like varsity jackets?
What, like a blazer?
No, like a varsity. You know what a varsity?
Oh yeah, yeah, varsity. Yeah. No. Got to go.
Anyhow, thank you very much for talking to us on TV.
Don't be shy, 'cause life won't bring you down too far.